Hey, here we are with another episode. And I'm so excited because we are recording it, video and audio. So if you're listening to us, but you want to check us out online, you can go to YouTube to Kathy Eggers to my channel and you can watch us. And this is pretty exciting to add the video because you really get to see what a hot mess we are. And if you wanted to see the real hot mess, you should have watched just before we hit record because it took us a minute. But here we are. And so glad you're here with us. So I'm going to introduce our guest today. So excited. This one's real personal for me. So first we have Alecia Warneke, and Alecia and I, I've known both these ladies for more than 25 years. It's insane. Alicia's the mom of 3 boys. She is Gigi to her grandbabies, and she has 4. Did you just have number 4?
Yes.
Alecia?
Number
Yes,
4
so number
is
4.
like 2.5 weeks old.
That is crazy. I'm going to let you tell us all about them in just a minute. So we're going to talk about all things grandparenting and mothering our children who are mothers and fathers. So excited. And next we have Kari Oakley-Miller. Kari and I also have known each other more than 25 years. Kari and I have similar kind of parenting relationships because we both have bonus children. Kari is the mom to 5, the bonus mom to 4, and the grandma soon, as of today, number 4, at the hospital on the way, right?
Yes.
Boy or girl?
Boy.
Boy. So how many of each do you have?
3 boys and 1 girl.
Same for you, Alecia, right?
That's what I've got too. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And the girl's the
Crazy.
oldest, I think, just like Kari.
Yep. Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, we've got
Mine's
them. They're actually like all lined up.
That's so funny. Yeah, because you just had another boy and you're having one too. Well, I have, for people who don't know me, I have 8 kiddos, 6 adopted, 2 biological. I have 2 bonus children, and I have 6 grandbabies. I have, how many of each? 4 boys, 2 girls. So I have a little bit more than you, but my newest are 6 months. Oh, they're 7 months old now, twins, boy and girl. And then my oldest grandbabies just turned 8 yesterday. Twin boys just turned 8. So, they're sugars.
Mm-hmm.
And they requested a pavlova for their dessert when they come visit next week. That's what they want for their birthday dessert is pavlova. Do you know what pavlova is? No? It's a New Zealand dessert. It's made out of egg whites and sugar. I'll have Jeff make it when you guys come visit. But it is like meringue, and you serve it with like whipping cream and berries, and it's light and it's delicious. And my grandbabies devour it. So that was the request. I was thankful because that meant I didn't have to cook. Mm-hmm. And they're Bruce, which is what Jeff is called, Bruce. And I am Nana, by the way. So today I wanted to have y'all here because you know that as we have become grandparents, things have changed in our relationship with our kids. And now we've added these new little beings into our life. And I get asked a lot about that when I'm out traveling, just about this relationship. And I've always had a heart to kind of share my thoughts on grandparenting. And last year, I had a group of moms come stay at my house, and we started talking about this topic. And something they shared kind of hit me between the eyes. And I have to be honest, I didn't think about it much until they shared it. And what they said to me was the biggest thing they want from their parents when they become parents is to still be mothered. Mm. And they felt like so many moms and dads, once the grandkids come, they stop mothering, like nurturing and mothering and caring for them as adults, and they go skip over and go to the little kids. And so I want us to talk about that. What do you think about that?
So I think for me, like I am completely guilty of that. But like I think about my boys and I think of how like the older and more mature they got, the less it seemed they wanted to be mothered. And I only have boys. Maybe that's, I don't know if that's different than the girls kind of wanting to have that mothering going on. Mm-hmm. I do try to mother-in-law my daughter-in-laws, hopefully to an extent that they like it. And they don't feel like I'm intruding. But yeah, like I never really thought about that could be something that the gears shift and then like the train passed them by.
Right. What about you, Kari?
Ooh, when you told us this back, I think it was in the fall when we first heard about this, I started to pay more attention to that. And I agree, Leisha, I'm guilty too. And it is different with boys and girls. And I feel like it's always as a grandparent and even a mom, of older kids, of adult kids, that we walk this fine line between I want you to know I love you, but I don't want to step on where I'm not welcome or, doing too much or
Hmm.
doing not enough,
Yes.
doing
And I
too
don't want
much,
to do
doing
too
not
much
enough.
for you because you're capable.
Constantly. Right. I don't want you to feel like that I'm thinking that you're not capable, but I also want you to know that I love you. So it's this constant battle between, doing too much and not enough. And so I think that's where conversation is really, really important.
So this morning, we had guests that were just staying with us, and she walked in and she said, "Oh, I know you're about to record this podcast. Let me show you this post." And she showed me this post on Facebook, and I sent it to y'all, so you got to read it. But it was amazing. It was talking about this young mom, and she said, "My mom, comes in and she cleans the house and she cooks the meals and she's taking care of the kids, and like within a few hours, she's got this place whipped into shape." And I'm like, "How does she do it?" I don't understand how my mom can come in and I'm exhausted and doing this. And she said, I was starting to have a little resentment that my mom would come in and just immediately start washing the clothes and, really doing all these things. And she said, I started feeling guilty and questioning myself as a mom. She said, and then I said something to my mom, and my mom said, honey, it's because I don't have the exhaustion of taking care of kids day to day. I'm mothering you. This is how I'm mothering you as a mom. But when I was mothering kids, I could have never done all this because I too was staying up late, getting up in the middle of the night, trying to emotionally care for everyone, keeping their emotional needs, their physical needs, every need met. But as a grandmother, I just get the pleasure of mothering you this way. And this is how it looks to mother a mom. And I thought, dang, that's pretty incredible. And then I started reading the comments. And boy, there were a lot of comments. There were comments saying, I don't know what you're talking about. My mom would never do this, to I don't want my mom to do this. And so I think what you just said, Kari, is conversation is key. But how do you do that? Like, especially with daughter-in-laws, I think it is different between daughters and daughter-in-law. So, Alecia, I'll ask you first because you do have daughter-in-law. Well, you both have daughter-in-laws, and so do I. How do we think it's different between daughters and daughter-in-laws?
I don't have any daughters, so it's hard for me to kind of compare those two. But I do feel like with my mom, or as I watched one of my daughter-in-laws with her mom, there's just not this speed bump that's like in the middle of the relationship. I feel like daughter-in-laws, as much as I love on them, I'm not their mom, right? And I didn't
Right.
raise them. I don't have that connection with them. So I probably don't do this as well as I would like to, but I feel like I am always in this posture of, is this going to be okay? Am I saying things that are building up to her? Or did I say something that like cut her down? And I know for a fact that I have, because we've had conversations about that. I'm like, I've never said that. And she's like, yeah, you kind of did. You kind of did. I was like, so sorry. I think, anyway.
Alecia, I think that's actually, I love the way you said that, the speed bump. I think that really does kind of, it's not good or bad. It's just, there's just something that's not quite the same as with our daughters, just not something that's I want to say openness. I mean, and mine's different with different daughter-in-laws, as I'm sure, because I have multiple daughter-in-laws, but I only have one daughter-in-law has all my grandbabies. So they have all six. And I've had to learn how to navigate that. And I still find myself jumping in. Like when they come to visit, let's talk about that, Kari. When they come to visit in your home, what are some of the things you're having to learn how to negotiate with just with all of your children that have children?
Well, just kind of piggybacking off of daughters and daughters-in-law, I have both, and it is very different. They both have
Yeah.
children, and it is very different. Because Carly and I have that history, she knows I love her unconditionally, and not that my daughter-in-laws don't, but again, like Alecia said, I'm not their mom. We just don't have that history. So when Carly comes, she's like, even when I went to her house, just real quick, for example, it was like, hey, mom, when you come over, I want to make you food. Don't feel like you have to bring food. Where I was like, ooh, I don't want her to feel like I'm eating her, wanting her to make me stuff. So we get to have those conversations. And when she comes
A
over
little
here,
easier.
oh, it's so much easier.
Yeah.
Hey, can you bring up, can you make us food when we come? Or, do you plan the activity when I come over? Or do I plan the activity when I come over for the grandkids? So even that is like, yeah, let's talk about that. What are the expectations? Yes. And so it's so much different with her. With the daughter-in-laws, because I do have two, I try to figure out like what would make them feel more comfortable. Kayla likes to do things. She likes to be busy. She likes to be doing something. So give her something, give her something to do. Put her in charge of something, or because she feels useful and she feels like she belongs when she's doing something like that. So paying attention to who they are as people, and then providing an environment, at least being sensitive to that. What it's like when they come over, are they just sitting by themselves over here because the boys just talk, trying to bring them in. So I guess it's just being aware of who they are and what they need to feel comfortable.
Yeah, it's so cute. My daughter-in-law loves to cook, and she's an amazing cook. And so when she comes, I want to give her the break from cooking, right? Because she's always cooking, but she wants to cook. She's like, no, you play with the babies. I love to cook, so cooking for me is fun. You hold the kids and give me the break from that. So, it took me a while to go, oh, wait, look, for me, I'd be like, I don't want to cook. I cook all the time. Like, you want to cook for me, mom? Cook for me. But I was glad that she felt confident to say, hey, no, I really would rather make the food and would rather you play with the kids. So I think it all comes down to a couple things you said. One, expectations. I think we have our own expectations based on what we saw with our grandparents and our parents. And so we kind of establish expectations, or I'm guilty of this, without talking to my daughter-in-law in this case. And so I think you've got to just keep expectations low, right? Or not have them at all if you can. And then you've got to communicate. And that's the part that's hard, is to be vulnerable enough to say, hey, this is what I need. If you're the daughter. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're sitting here going, gosh, I have a mother-in-law that I can't stand. She's like the one video we passed around. The three of us pass around videos all the time about grandparenting, you guys, because we get it, right? And it's so funny. And one was a video of a girl. She's like, my mother-in-law's coming. My mother, I mean, she just couldn't even say mother-in-law. And it broke our hearts because, like, gosh, we don't want anybody to feel that way about us. Like, that is so sad. I mean, I get it. It's the stereotype, the evil mother-in-law. But really, if we could be vulnerable enough, even before those of our kids who don't have kids yet, that's really the time to start the conversation. Even before the kids are born, let us know what you need. Now, I will say, I have some friends, and they recently became grandparents, and their children required them to take an online course, full course, before they were allowed to stay with a grandbaby. How would you feel if your children asked you to take a course before you were allowed to stay with a grandbaby?
Yeah, wow, that would feel like a real slap in the face.
You
like,
made it out alive,
clearly
right?
You didn't,
I guess I did it.
Clearly you didn't know what you were doing when you raised us, and now we need to make sure that you take a course. And then I would probably take that course because I would want to be with my grandbabies ASAP. But yeah, that would. Oof. One of the best things that and it came from my son, our oldest, after his first little baby, and she was maybe like 5 or 6 weeks old. And I wanted to just be very conscious of like, okay, it's not my baby, even though I kind of feel like it's my baby, but I want it to be my baby, but I don't want to take care of it like it's my baby. Right. Is it okay if I like do this with her? Is it okay if I do that? Like, is it okay if I kept asking for permissions. And he looked at me, he's like, Mom, you can literally do whatever you want with her. You did this 3 times and raised all of us, and we're fine. I have no idea what I'm doing with this kid. So even if I tell you yes, I don't know if that's good or bad. So if you want to do it, you just do it. Right. And I was like, wow, that was like, I'll never forget that moment. That is like one of the biggest, like, atta girl that I've received, like, post-parenting, right? Like, hey, he trusts me.
Right.
He trusts me with the baby.
But what if your
But yeah,
next
so
son
that is kind
said,
of
"Oh,
like
mom,
the
no way."
antithesis of that. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, that'd be
What
hard.
do you think, Carrie, about that?
I
If the
mean,
kids want
I would say you made it out alive. You're fine. Somebody chose you to be their spouse, so apparently you're not that bad. I didn't do too bad of a job, but also
right.
then go immediately take that course, and so that I get to see the grandbabies. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
just
I mean, it's a hard one, and I think I could avoid getting to that place by having some honest conversations. You know, what that says to me is maybe they don't have a great communication in their relationship where the kids could say, hey, mom, I know you raised us, but since then, research has showed, you know, you swaddle a baby this way, or they love to sleep in sleeping suits now. That's the thing, right? And so we're going to use that. Or, you know, I remember I parented real different, like, you know, remember our kids were like no sugar, and you know I'd take them to my mom's house and I'd get so mad because she would immediately give them sugar, and looking back I'm like, on the other side it was no big deal. I made so many mountains out of molehills with my parents, and you know they wanted to rock the baby to sleep and not put the baby in the crib like I do, and I got so upset with them, and I hate that looking back, because again, the relationship is the most important. The relationship between you and your children and between you and your parent. And so if we could all just remember everyone's in it for the right reasons. And again, we're talking
Yeah,
healthy relationships. I understand that
right.
some people might have parents who are not emotionally healthy, and you've got to set boundaries. And I am a big fan of that too. But I'm talking, if we've got a healthy relationship with our family members, then if we could start that dialogue and just say, okay, this is how we're going to handle sleeping, and it would help us so much if you could do that, and this is how we're going to handle eating, and then you as the grandparent could go, man, I am supporting you because you're my child and I'm for you, and if this is the way you want to do it, I'm your biggest fan and I'm going to do it
Mhm.
too. So
Mhm.
if we can all agree that we're in it together because we love each other and we all want what's best for our children and their
Right.
children, then I feel like we could avoid so much of this. You got to take a parenting class, or I'm going to vomit when my mother-in-law comes.
Exactly. And I think piggybacking on you said expectations, also assumptions. You know, if
Uh,
the, you know, we do something that seems like we're going against, you know, and sometimes, like you
yes.
said, there are grandparents out there that do that with ill intention, but generally it's, I forgot, or I'm just not paying
Yes.
attention, you know, and to
Yeah,
have that conversation going, hey, when you did this, I felt this. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, rather than, you know, then going off on this assumption that I'm just trying to undermine the parenting of the, you know, the parent, and then acting on that. And then there's
Right.
bitterness and resentment. I'm like, what's going on? Why is she acting like that way? Well, if we could have those conversations and not just make assumptions of people's intention, like you're saying, love each other, kindness, respect.
yeah.
So that would be helpful if we could do that.
Yeah. What are some things that you enjoy doing when your grandchildren come to visit? Do y'all have routines that you do with your grandbabies just to establish your own bond with them? Or are there special things you do for your adult kids when they come to visit or when you go visit them?
So again, I'm like the what? Do things for my adult kids? Like they're grown-ups. Why am I doing anything for them? Um, so I
I meant
probably
to nurture the relationship with them,
oh, okay.
not
Well,
physically do things like rub their back to sleep. I mean, like
yeah, that'd be kind
to
of
nurture the relationship.
I remember
Awkward.
my youngest asked me one time, Spencer, and he's like he's laying on the couch at his brother's house. He's like, Mom, can you just rub my feet? I'm like, no, that is why you have a
Yeah,
right now. Go after her. Ew. I just, you
exactly.
know, yeah. But I didn't take my meds today.
What are ways you nurture your adult children, or are there things you do like when you visit your kids
With
or
the
they visit?
grandkids.
I'll go first. I hold on. I'll go first to give you an example. So every time my
Okay.
grandbabies come visit, Eleanor, well, let's back up. So Valentine's Day, I always decorate the kids' table like I decorate for breakfast, and I have these hearts that light up. And so she happened to come visit right after, and so I just took the hearts and hung them in the bedroom where she sleeps. And Eleanor is now 5, but at the time she was like 2. So she associates those blinky heart lights with coming to my house. So every time after, she'd be like, "Nana, where are my lights?" And she would hang them up by her little bed every time. And so when we moved to the lake full time, I brought her red hearts and I hung them. I have this little place under my stairs where they go play, and I have books, and I strung her little red heart lights right there so that they would be here when she came to visit. So things like that I do that every time they expect. And then at night when they come here, I do their nighttime reading, not their mom and dad. They let me do it. So I buy new books. I've got My Gunkle and Me this time. I've got You Belong. I've got some new books waiting. I've got Kisses from Space. I have 3 new books to read to them when they come next week. So I always do their bedtime reading. So those are just some things I do for my the grandkids. And then when my kids come, I always try to cook their favorite foods. I always, like, one might love poppy seed chicken, and my daughter-in-law, she loves hibachi. So we always do hibachi on the grill. So I try to, again, what you were saying, Carrie, earlier, I get to know my kids as individuals, my daughter-in-laws as well. And I try to find a way, book a nail appointment or something to show them love as adults, and then ways to show my grandbabies love. So that's what I mean. So now, Alecia, you go.
Okay, so every Wednesday, and so 2 of our sons, our oldest and youngest, live very close to us. And the other one lives in Florida, so not close at all, like 8 hours away. So every Wednesday night, we get together at my oldest son's house and we have family dinner. And everybody comes. Sometimes there's some extra friends, whatever, people from their shop at the business, but we have family dinner. And usually Jeff and I will cook the food while they can kind of hang out with each other, with the grandbabies. And we kind of use that as a bonding thing. It kind of started out when our oldest just had 1. And I was like, hey, what if on Wednesdays I pick Elise up early from daycare and I make you guys dinner so it's ready when you get home? It was kind of like started as like this little treat for them because they both work full time.
Yeah.
And it just kind of turned into this thing. And now Elise is she actually just turned 6 last week. And she loves family dinner night. And so does her brother, Jack, who's 3.5. They're both like, it's family dinner night. They know I come pick them up from daycare. They get to ride in the Jeep. I have little Jeep hats for them so we can roll the top down and their hair doesn't go everywhere. And they like to wear their little Jeep hats. And we go and cook, whatever it is that we're making that night. If it's somebody's birthday, the birthday person gets to choose whatever the meal is for that night. So Elise's birthday was 2 days ago, Wednesday, and she requested her mom's spaghetti, which I absolutely love. That she has a dish that her mom makes that's like her favorite thing, right? Because awesome. I know that's got to make SF feel so good, because I know when my kids are like, oh, my mom's this and that, right? I was like, yeah. So she loves her mom's spaghetti sauce. She puts this special ingredient in it called heavy whipping cream, and it's fantastic. So yeah, those are kind of some of the things. I like to take the kids individually. And again, like I get to see those guys. My grandkids are all close, and I get to see them, I feel like, a good bit for a grandparent. And I'm so grateful for that. But I like to take them and have we call them Gigi days. And I'll pick them up from daycare and we'll go do whatever they want. So Elise had a Gigi day for her birthday, and we went to Walmart because she said she needed new sandals. So I let her pick out a couple sandals. Then we went to the kid-to-kid resale shop, and she picked out like 25 swimsuits and really dresses that she'll probably never wear anywhere, right? But I don't care because they're like $2 a piece. So add as many as you want, right? And then she picked out one of those swimsuits, and I took her to the aquatic outdoor pool, Delano, where they live. And we just went and rode the slides and the lazy river and did all the things there, and then dropped off for family dinner. So it just depends on the kid, right? Jack, who's 3.5, would want something totally different. But that was like her thing. She wanted to shop and she wanted to swim. I'm like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah, that's lovely. That's one thing I have not had a lot of alone time because my grandkids live far away and they all come at once, and now 6 of them. And so it is hard to get individual time away, and their mom is not quite ready to let them come stay. I think maybe now the 8-year-olds could come stay. So I have not had that. So I'm a little envious hearing you say that. I would be like,
Yeah.
oh, that sounds dreamy to me. And, but again, we have to work with what they're comfortable with, and different parents
Yeah.
are comfortable with different things. And I just try to honor that and respect that. And they will FaceTime me individually. So I do get that, time to read books with them individually and things like that.
Yeah.
So I love that. Carrie, what about you? What are some, memory making things you're doing with your kids and grandkids?
Well, my grandkids have been in Knoxville just until probably a few weeks ago. So there really wasn't like a traditional kind of steady time that we would see them. And then the youngest one he's only 8 months old. So Carly and I were figuring that out. But with Millie, when she was first born, they lived in Athens, and I would go up every Wednesday and babysit. And that was really fun. And we did mealtime with Millie, and I would just sit the camera out.
I
And
remember those.
And it was cute to see her progress between, eating baby food. It was just the sweetest little thing that we did together. So that was fun. So with them being closer now in Atlanta for about a year, I'm looking forward to kind of having some more of those traditions. And Alecia, because of you, I want to start family dinner night. I think that's such a great tradition. And no pressure, right? Like, you being the mom, you have to come. It's like whoever wants to come whenever it's open, we're here.
Yep.
I love that.
And sometimes that happens. We have some that they're like, we've had enough family, or we're tired.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Like, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah. But can you please drop your baby off?
Right. You can stay home and sleep, but can you please drop the grandkids off?
Let's talk about that no pressure thing, you guys, because I've had some conversations with lots of adults that feel so much pressure from their parents to be involved for holidays, for things like family dinner, and they really don't want to. Not because they don't love their family, but they're establishing their own little family unit, and they want to build their own traditions, and yet they get so guilted by the grandparents. I want to see my grandchildren, but I want to see you. It's the holidays. You have to show up. So in our home, again, we have 10 children combined. We have made it known that you are not expected at anything, at any time. You are wanted at everything. And we love you and want to see you. But if for Christmas you want to take a trip to Ireland, go for it. If at Thanksgiving you want to make your own turkey in your little apartment, go for it. We will miss you, and you are loved. But there's no, we're not going to guilt you. We're not going to, bring it up 100 times that you didn't show up. Now, we might say we missed you, but I'm proud of that. I don't know that I started out that way, because I did want them all there. I did want the dreamy, 20 people at the table. And some holidays we get that, and some holidays it's 4 people at the table. How do y'all handle those moments?
I'll go.
Yeah, sorry.
I have such a hard time with this. And my husband, Jeff, is so great. He's like, I don't ever, just like you, Kari, I don't ever want the kids to feel guilty, like they have to do something with us, right? I don't even want them doing anything with us if they feel like they have to do something. I want them to have the freedom to choose, right? And I'm like, but still, I want to, I want that control. And it's so hard as a grandparent, like a parent of adult children, because for so long we were in control of their lives, right? And then like they go off and they have their own lives, but we still want to be part of it, and we still want to kind of, by we I mean me, I want to like control things and make them so beautiful and all these memories and yada yada. And again, that's like the expectations that I'm like, the unspoken expectations that I'm wanting to have, it really caused me issues. So our oldest, Andrew, and his wife, Essa, her parents, we have a really good relationship with those parents. So they basically have their set of grandparents that collaborate. And so lived with them when we had our house felt like they were 5 minutes down the road. We couldn't find anywhere to stay. They're like, listen, you guys can live with us. We have a whole third floor. They wouldn't let us pay rent. We would try to help them out around the house and buy them stuff and all this. But it was like this huge gift that they gave us. And the kids weren't even married at the time. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, what are you going to do if they break up? We're like, well, they're going to have to find somewhere else to live, because like, that's not about us. Like, that's fine. They can break up, but the parents are still going to be living together, right? Sorry for them.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to ruin a relationship. Like, what if they do stay together, right? And then we have these two parents, these two in-laws. For quite a while, we have done joint holidays with them. So our kids only have to go to one place. And we have kind of shared, maybe I'll host Thanksgiving, maybe her mom will host Thanksgiving, and then like everybody's always invited everywhere. That's kind of, it's really hard for me, because on some level, I feel like I'm sharing, but then like, not what it's all about, right? Like, they are now together and have this life together, right? And I think they have really appreciated that. But it does get hard, because with other siblings, then maybe they don't want to go do, Christmas with the other family, and so we're kind of trying to figure that out. And I would rather have there at a time when they can come. Maybe it's not Christmas, I want them to have their own Christmas morning, night before Christmas, all these things, right? So maybe we do Christmas the day after, or the weekend before, or something where it can still be meaningful and we're all together and everybody is okay with it. But I also know that they have friends that like have to run, like we used to have to run to this grandma's and then to this grandma's. And then if you have parents who are divorced, then you have to go to this stepdads and that stepmoms and, all the things. And it was so exhausting. So I know that they appreciate that. They're like, they can have their stuff and then like the extended family stuff.
Well, and you have to
So
recognize
we
that
try
every
to do
kid
that.
is, I was saying, and that every kid is different. Like, I have one son and he just doesn't love being all together. Like, he would rather have dinner with me and Jeff alone with his wife than be with his siblings. He just would. He loves the alone time with me. He has from the get-go. He loves it. He was adopted older, and he just really doesn't want to share me. So he doesn't enjoy coming to the big family events because he doesn't get to spend time with me. So it's also realizing, okay, and that's okay. It doesn't have to look like a Hallmark movie. It doesn't. It has to be healthy and open, and our goal is to have a relationship with each child, not that all 10 of my kids have to be besties. I've just realized that's probably never going to happen, and that is okay. But it's my job that all 10 of my children feel loved and that they belong in whatever makes them feel comfortable. For me, that's where I am at this point. What about you, Kari?
Yeah. I feel like I've learned so much about becoming a mother-in-law and a grandparent, about myself. For me, I feel like it's more about my issues and my expectations of, like, of course, wanting that magical everybody together, of course. But am I a complete person? Do I have a life outside of my kids? And to making sure that I am a person and I'm an individual, they are not my happiness anymore. I mean, for us especially, we were all in the trenches together and we're super tight. And to let that go has been really hard, but also to remind myself to become, I'm an individual. I'm a person and I can go do things on my own as a person, as Kari, not as mom and grandma, which then I can show up as a more comfortable person for them and more healthy person for them, and not have them be my happy. So if you show up, then I'm happy. If the grandkids are there, then I'm happy. That's not, I feel like it's more about our okayness as moms and grandmas. And we got to just make sure we're in a more healthy place.
Right. And this is a push for us and our partners, right? This is why we have to work on our relationship with our partners when we're young, so that when those kids are gone, we can have those people and we can have adventures together and do things, and then together go love on our adult kids. But often, as we know, so many, parents, you're so busy in the trenches that by the time it's just you and your partner, you're like, I'm not sure I'm liking you right now. But you've really got to work at that. And then together you can figure out the best way to love on these daughters, sons, daughter-in-laws, son-in-laws. And sometimes it looks like, I know my husband just recently, he's not a son-in-law. I think he will be, but he's not yet. But, went and played golf with him and one of my boys, and they had the best time together. And I wasn't involved at all, but they bonded and they had a great time. And so, again, doesn't always have to look like all of us together. It can be in small chunks and with, just a few of them. I think, we have established that this is a hot topic. I talked to a friend of mine, Dr. Kathy Cook, and she said it's the number one question they're getting at Focus on the Family is about this relationship with adult children. And I think we could talk for hours. We could just bring out topic after topic. Somebody, my guests that were just here, they were saying finances. Like, how do you handle finances with your children when they ask to borrow money? We get that at our house. We have adult children who ask to borrow money. That's a whole podcast we could talk about. How do you set boundaries? How do you handle that? What are some other topics that you think would be great for us to talk about? Not today, but would make a great podcast.
Ooh, as far as like the grandparents and the generational
adult children. Yeah.
Adult children. I think I would love to hear from kind of that younger mom generation. Like how do you feel loved by your mother-in-laws? Right. I mean, for me, it's the mother-in-law issue. Right. But yeah, and even though I try to have that conversation with my daughter-in-laws, they don't really give me a whole lot of stuff. You know what I mean? Like they're just kind of like I have offered to like do laundry and cook and like take care of babies. When other ones come, they're like, no, we got it. I'm like, let me help you with this because you're not going to get this again. Right. Like you're not going to get this time when they're that little to just spend with them. And it goes so fast. Let me take the other one and go to the park. Let me bring you some meals so you can not have to. And they are very like my one daughter-in-law, my younger one. She didn't even want me over at the house after the baby was born because she felt like her house had to be like a certain way, and they had projects going because the baby came early, and and I respect that, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't care about your house. I just want to like help you. But for her, it would have been more stressful for me to go and start doing things than for me to just hang back and FaceTime with her and check on her and see how she's doing and, order some stuff from Amazon. So it just kind of shows up at her house.
Yeah. I don't know about your daughter-in-laws, but I speak of Caroline specifically. And she really in so many ways is a little mini me too. And when she comes to visit, she wants to hang out with me. Like she doesn't want me doing all this stuff. Or when I go to her house, she literally wants maybe us go get our nails done together or us hang out. She's so adorable. I love that about her because I'm like you. I'm like, okay, what should I be doing? But more than not, I find myself on the sofa with a cup of coffee, chatting with her, and the grandbaby's crawling all over us. But we are just spending time together. And I leave and like, I didn't help her at all. But maybe I did. Maybe just connecting with her and spending time
maybe
talking
that's
to
what
her.
she
Maybe
needed.
that is right. So I agree with you. I would love to have. In fact, I'm going to say, if you're listening to this podcast, please shoot me an email, Kathy@KathyEggers.com or the Homegrown Preschooler. Let me know what you would love us to talk about because coming in October 2024, I have chills saying it, the three of us are starting a podcast called Gray Roots Podcast where we are going to be talking about this every week. And I am so excited because I think it's an important topic. It's something that's going to matter for generations to come. Right? What do y'all think, Kari?
Absolutely. 100%. I wish I had it when I was younger.
Same.
So excited.
So exciting.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
and I think
we will be posting on social media. Yeah.
I was going to say, Kathy, where do your parents, did you have, like Kari and I both came from, like when we moved here to Atlanta, like we didn't have any help. We didn't have parents. No. I guess Kurt's family was here, but I didn't have anybody here but us. So that mother-in-law relationship was a little different, like phone calls. And I think they came to visit us once type of thing. Did you have family here when your kids were little?
No, I had no family. No, my parents lived in Birmingham when I was in Atlanta, and No, nobody close. And I
Yeah.
remember the day I birthed Sarah, my mom was coming. Well, my first kids were adopted. No one felt they had to come because apparently when you adopt a child, you don't need help,
It's
which
not much
is
work.
not true. No. But then when I birthed Sarah, my mother was actually going to come and stay with me for the first time ever. Now I already had 5 kids at that point. And she was going to come stay. And I guess I had 3 kids. I can't even remember how many kids. I had 3 kids. And so Sarah was my 4th. So she was going to come stay and she broke her foot leaving her house and ended up at the hospital with me at Northside, ended up in the ER and then had to turn around and go back home. So even when I thought I'm finally going to get the help, I didn't get the help. So I was on my own with all of them. I mean, they would come and go, but I had younger siblings who were starting to have babies about the same time as my younger babies. So I didn't have a lot either. My mom was great about letting me take the kids to her, and the older ones would want to go stay with her and give me a break, but the younger ones, they did not. So, it worked out. I try to be sensitive to that, but we need to wrap it up because we've been going on for a while and I think we could keep going, but I'm excited. So 2024, look for us on social media, Gray Roots Podcast, Kari and Alecia. I'm so excited about what we're about to take on. So glad
Yeah,
y'all are
girl.
here. Thanks for being
Yeah,
here.
love you guys.
All right.
All
Thanks.
right.